Now we shift our focus to matters politics, and Deputy President William Ruto's Hustlers versus Dynasties campaign could soon land him and his political allies in jail, in addition to being banned from holding public office if a proposed bill is passed into law. Now lawmakers have drafted a bill that imposes severe fines and jail time and makes it a basis for removal from office for any leader who propages class divisions in the country. Now, anyone who incites Kenyans along the Hustler versus Dynasties split could, as per the bill crafted by the National Assembly Security Committee, be imprisoned for 5 years or pay a fine of 5 million shillings. So let's look at a story that was done by Duncan Haimba on this narrative before we speak to two leaders on the same.
President Uhuru Kenyatta has, for the second time in less than a month, punched holes into Deputy President William Ruto's latest brand of politics of hustlers versus dynasties as he steps up his 2022 presidential campaigns.
The hustler nation is saying this country belongs to all of us and we must all sit at the table where we are going to have a honest national conversation.
On Monday morning, the head of state was live on Kikuyu vernacular radio stations addressing his Mount Kenya home ground and told off his deputy, whom he accused of sowing seeds of discord with his hustler narrative, citing last week's incident when angry border operators reportedly set a vehicle ablaze following an accident with one of them.
Na rajinirwo niki tondu handu na hakigia ka accident na gutikire mundu thai koragwo na accident no gucina ngari ati tondu ati ni atuika ni Dynasty muthuri uthiete kuruta thithino yake nigetha hote kwigurira gakari gake ri kana rori yake ri ya ukuaga waru agitwaraga thoko ri vata wa kuhurithania andu niki.
As he gave a stern warning against those who will attempt to cause national strife.
Koguo kurumana ti kindu no geria kurugamia wira kana geria kurehe gacagaca kana geria kurehe bara oria ndamwirire ndika kamega niguo mukamenya niguo cimba njurire ti nyau no agĩkorwo nĩ irumire icio angĩkorwo nĩ icio ũraigua ciragũkenia rĩ.
Mimi nataka niwaambie hawa wa jamaa, you are not going to sell us fear. We are not going to buy your threats and your blackmail and your intimidation. This country belongs to all of us.
President Kenyatta says it is reckless to radicalize the unemployed youth by pitting them against other Kenyans.
Tuina bata wa tunyitanire nao owo ngumweraga BBI ni gucaria njira iria tukumateithia mahote kwirugamirira no gucaria njira cia kumateithia kwirugamirira ri ti kuga turumage aciari yao kana turumage aria akuru wao no njira ni te icio ngumweraga turacaria thiini wa BBI menda gukomba mbeca tumateithie gukomba maheo githomo gia gwika biashara.
On Sunday, Wiper Party leader Kalonzo Musyoka also accused Ruto of engaging in dangerous politics.
Extremism in politics inaweza kuwa mbaya zaidi kuliko tunavyodhania. If you start a class war.
For several months, Deputy President William Ruto has been leading political rallies with calls with what he terms a paradigm shift in Kenyan politics. Duncan Haimba, KTN News.
All right, so let me bring in two members of parliament of the National Assembly, Peter Kaluma, Homa Bay Town Member of Parliament, and Caleb Kositany, Sui Member of Parliament, just to pick their mind on what this means for the country as the country debates between the hustler and the dynasty debate, the wheelbarrow debate. But then let me begin with, gentlemen, first of all, good morning, and thank you so much for joining us here on KTN News Center. Let me begin with the Honorable Peter Kaluma, Homa Bay Town Member of Parliament. So the National Assembly Security Committee, which you are part of that committee as the vice chairperson, comes up with a bill that contains some of the measures that have been put in place as a way of bringing sanity into the country. But then what is the motivation of coming up with a bill to criminalize a street term, a term that the common Wananchi can identify with?
Yes, morning, Brenda. Morning, Kenyans. Brenda, first, to start by correcting that I'm not the vice chair of the Committee on Administration and National Security. I'm just a member. In that committee, I chair the subcommittee dealing with legislation. We have been for quite some time engaged in discussions with the National Cohesion and Integration Commission on the matter of hate speech. And I think this is something we started engaging on as early as January last year. What the Commission on Integration and National Commission has been crying to us is that hate speech cases appear to be on the increase, and they are attributing that to the low levels of penalty the law prescribes for the offenses under the Act. They have also been complaining that though so many people, especially leaders, have been charged with hate speech, the number of convictions are very few. And I think you just need to look at what the media has been reporting to confirm that that indeed is true. We've had so many people charged with hate speech, but you don't get conviction. And so it is those two matters we've been seeking to address with them. We, as a committee, do not have a bill already. What we are engaged on is a legislative proposal. And I think we are at the tail end of now submitting it to Parliament for processing into bill. I don't know whether you will allow me at this stage to specify what we are dealing with. And largely there are two.
Kindly go ahead.
We are saying that if people are engaging in hate speech or incitement-related offenses because the penalty is low, then we need to increase penalty both in terms of custodial sentence and fine, but also because of the grave nature of hate speech and what may result therefrom. You know, people can be murdered, people can be evicted from where they live, and people can, you know, have violent prejudices directed at them if you engage in hate speech. So we are saying if such a consequence can befall the community, more so from people in leadership, there must be additional penalty.
Right. So
we are saying if a leader is convicted with hate speech, it is being proposed in that piece we are thinking about that person, if he's in leadership, should be completely barred from office. Right. So let me bring in your upon conviction. All right. Let me bring and then he cannot also run from office. Office. That is what we are looking at.
All right. So let me bring in your SUI counterpart. That is Caleb Kositany. And Honorable Kositany, what is your reaction to this idea?
Good morning, Brenda, and good morning, Kenyans, and my colleague Kaluma there. I think, Brenda, the biggest issue we are having in this country is that we should not tailor-make laws to curtail certain individuals. I have a very strong feeling, and I believe in that feeling, I trust the feeling that I have, that these laws and trying to demonize the journey that is there to try and demonize the hustler narrative, is just that the tribal kings are now scared that there is now a narrative that has captured the minds of Kenyans, that has removed Kenyans from their tribal inclinations, and now they've seen there is a national drive called the hustler movement. Actually, what the hustler movement has done is like when you find Kenyans watching the Olympics, and we all cheer the Kenyan team, or even the football team, the Kenyan football team, we all cheer irrespective of our tribes. That is where the Hustler Nation narrative has taken us.
Right.
It has actually given hope to many Kenyans. And when we talk about the hustler narrative, Brenda, we're not talking about the rich versus the poor. There are hustlers who are very rich, extremely rich, who came in from a very, very humble background. One of the key examples is James Mwangi of Equity Bank. He started his bank in a very small shop somewhere in Murang'a County, and has grown to be one of the largest banks in Eastern Central Africa. That is what we are trying to push by having the wheelbarrow as a symbol of hard work. You know, a wheelbarrow cannot move unless it is pushed. And it is not propelled by fuel or by solar. It is propelled by the push, by the human strength. So that is what we are trying to encourage, is that it is possible to come from humble beginnings, work hard, and rise to be somebody in this republic. And that is the narrative that we want to drive forward, going forward.
All right, so Honorable Kaluma, let's talk about freedom of association, expression. That is, according to the Constitution, Article 32, 33, and 36. You'll be seeing that just in a bit, in a short while on your screens. And let me begin with, that Article 32, freedom of, of religion, belief, opinion, and your conscience, and also Article 33, freedom of expression. And this freedom actually gives every Kenyan the right to freedom of expression, which includes a freedom to seek, receive, freedom to seek, receive, or impart information or ideas, and freedom of artistic creativity. Then let's look at the last one, freedom of association, which says that every person has the right to freedom of association, which includes the right to inform, join, or participate in the activities of an association of any kind. So don't you think the bill by the National Assembly, Honorable Kaluma, National Assembly Security Committee, will be infringing or contravening Article 32, 33, and 36?
Yes, Brenda, as a lawyer, I know all those freedoms you have counted. But I also need to refer you and all Kenyans to the provisions of Article 24 of the Constitution, which speaks to the matter of limitation of rights in particular circumstances. And if you look at those provisions, only about 4 fundamental rights and freedoms are incapable of limitation. That is including the right to fair hearing, freedom from torture, the right to life, and I think just one another right. All those freedoms you have mentioned are capable of limitation. The thing is that the limitations must be within the parameters of Article 24, which is very wide. They include the limitation being acceptable in a free and democratic society. That is Kenya. I want to say that it is on that basis that you have all these pieces of legislations then imposing limitation. Let me tell Honorable Kositany that their side can call themselves Wheelbarrow Group, they can call themselves Hustler Group, they can call themselves thieves, murderers, anything they choose to call themselves. The problem would be if they infringe upon existing law. And I can assure them that when thinking of this legislation, we are least concerned about what they call hustlers, wheelbarrows, or whatever they call themselves. We are looking at a law that can deal with the society as a whole.
All right. So, gentlemen, just stay with me. I'd need us to take a short commercial break. But when we come back, we shall continue having this discussion with Homa Bay Town Member of Parliament Peter Kaluma and Soy MP Caleb Kositany, both of them at our City Centre studio. So do stay with me. After the short commercial break, we come back with more of this discussion.